Hey everybody, it's Lloyd Dobler and welcome to my podcast, The Tao of Lloyd, and welcome back to Chapter 4. Chapter 4, the Tao is like a well. And I'm sitting here staring into that well, trying to see my reflection, not the mask that I put out into the world, but as something that is true and essential about me, something that existed before the narrative that I'm currently living in, the story that I'm currently stuck in, which I'll get to later. The story of me as a Gen X person who thinks, what would have happened if the hippies had won? But I'm still looking at that well, looking for my reflection, because I think if I can see that thing, that essence clearly, I'll know how to navigate the current stage of late stage, every fucking thing with a little bit more grace and a little bit more clarity. And so I look, and I invite you to look within yourself as I read from Chapter 4 of the Tao Te Ching, and I'll see you on the other side of this brief reading. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities, hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. That's it. 7 lines. That's Chapter 4. And I'm looking, and I am trying. Like Stephen Malcolmus, I am trying. But if you tuned into this podcast for some expertise, some I know it all guru shit, I don't have it today. I don't have it at all. I mean, I can feel, I can sense, I can believe that there is some timeless wisdom of that chapter. I can't quite grasp it though, because I'm still too tethered to my own timeline, my own Gen X timeline. Because when I look for that thing that is hidden but always present, a thing that's older than God inside myself, I have to be honest. All I see right now, today, is my relationship to other things and other people, like the MAGA crowd, like the Trump crowd. In relationship to them, I see myself as an anti-fascist in a long line of anti-fascists that goes at least as far back as those crazy radicals in the Von Trapp family from The Sound of Music, to borrow a popular meme. In fact, I'm running for president of Antifa right now with The Sound of Music as my soundtrack. The hills are alive with the sound of Lloyd Dobler running for president of Antifa. Can I have your vote? This message was approved by Lloyd Dobler. Okay, in relationship to the person in front of me, 2 rows in front of me on the commuter rail right now as I write down notes in my journal for this podcast, who's having a private family cell phone conversation at the discrete volume of 11, I see myself as somehow a morally superior human being to them, who's whispering on the train, who would never intrude on other commuters' privacy with a conversation with my sister about how she should divorce her fucking husband once and for all. But truth be told, I've been that jerk who has been yelling at the sound of 11 on a train at least once in my life. I've had a moment so urgent that I didn't care about intruding on other people's privacy at least once in my life. And so, in one minor, small little victory in my commute this morning, I can let go of judging her, and I can root for her to convince her sister she should divorce that fucking guy once and for all. What about my relationship to other versions of myself? What about my relationship to my teenage self, who I still see in my mind's eye standing there with the boombox in the air? And I hate this image, even though I've used it as the branding image for this podcast. I mean, would you want to be stuck with the thing that you did? Anyway, I hate that image. Because my adult self can look at my teenage self with that boombox outside of Diane Court's window and think, that's a little stalkery, isn't it? That's a little creepish. That didn't really age that well. Now, did it? strip away all those relationships of myself to the other, and stuck in the timeline, like I said before. And who am I underneath it all, outside of time? Who am I underneath it all, outside of time? Who the fuck are you? I mean, do you ever ask yourself that? Isn't that a worthwhile question to ask? And maybe you have, and maybe you've answered it. Maybe you, my listener, who I imagine to be of Generation X or older, have already asked yourself and answered for yourself all of these questions. You're probably way ahead of me on your spiritual journey, because I'm still trying to find that secret door to reopen that door, that chance I think humanity had to travel down a completely different road than the road we are on now. The road I'm talking about is formed because the way I understand the time I was born and how I view my generation's particular struggle, that I think that we were so close. I mean, have you ever asked yourself what the world would look like today if the hippies had won? I mean, what does that mean? Whatever that means. Because, the hippies lost. I mean, they had an extended glorious moment. Age of Aquarius and all. But Hair was a Broadway musical. It wasn't a real revolutionary act. Not just the Hair, peace and love hippies. What about if the radical side of the hippies won too? The weathermen willing to blow up buildings to try to stop a war, to try to derail a government and a nation built on white nationalism. What if they won? And I did go into a lot more length and detail about this idea in season 1 episode of this podcast called the Gen X Manifesto, for those listeners new to this podcast who want to flip back to that one and check it out. What if, man, those hippies had really won? In a world where the hippies had won, the Pentagon's budget would fund poetry slams and school lunches, not drone strikes and bottomless ice budgets. In a world where the hippies had won, billionaires would only exist in fairy tales told to warn kids what happens when you mistake greed for good. Because the greed is good ethos, made famous by Gordon Gekko in Oliver Stone's film Wall Street, was a villain in a satire lampooning the Reagan-era greed is good ethos. Gordon Gekko wasn't a fucking hero upholding that. That was lost on a lot of boiler room Wall Street motherfuckers in the 80s, 90s, thousands, and today. In a world where the hippies had won, today we'd have a place where no one would be building bombs, brands, or borders. I mean, it's like John Lennon said, imagine there's no countries. They killed him for that. Just like they killed Robert F. Kennedy, bang, Martin, bang, Malcolm, bang, and John Kennedy, bang, all in quick succession. I mean, with this context, the hippies didn't quit so much as they just got scared, put their tails between their legs, went to work on Wall Street, cut their hair, bought big-ass gas-guzzling SUVs, and they learned to call themselves baby boomers. And really, can you blame them? Their revolution became a bullet point on their resume. The peace sign got turned into a corporate logo, and that is where I get back to my timeline and where I'm stuck, because that is how I see the world that we, people of my age, people of my generation, that is the world we inherited. Generation X grew up staring at a ghost of what could have been if our parents hadn't been bludgeoned into conformity, if the forerunners to Project 2025 hadn't crushed the resistance before it got tentacles and tenure, if the freaks and radicals and lovers had actually won and not lost. Instead, we got latchkeyed, we got reruns, we got Reagan, we got Just Say No, we got trickle-down trauma. Maybe that's the point. But if the Tao is infinite, why do I keep trying to fit it inside one of these little micro podcast episodes? Back in my Occupy Wall Street days, years before Trump floated down the escalator and that mother con artist became a reality TV show bully that started his now more than decade-long domination of United States minds and narrative. Back in the day, I thought activism was a bucket that I could keep refilling. March, chant, organize, shut shit down, repeat. But then I burnt out. I went broke. But did I hit bottom? Because every time I thought I'd hit bottom, the well just got a little bit deeper. Like the universe was whispering to me, you're not supposed to fill it. You're just supposed to draw from it. And here is a cruel joke. I'm trying to draw from it and build a podcast that's trying to explain it. A finger pointing at the moon. But you know, the Tao doesn't judge. It's infinite. It doesn't need me to be enlightened, that's for sure. It just keeps flowing, whether or not I am reading it, meditating on it, or podcasting about it. It gives no fucks. It keeps flowing through protest chants, through late night Twitter arguments with strangers, through the quiet moments where I finally shut up long enough to breathe. Maybe that's what being human in late stage everything means. Learning to sip from an infinite well. So today I am practicing bottomlessness. Letting the silence echo, letting the well fill itself. And if you listen close, maybe you'll hear it too. The Tao is like a well, used, but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities, hidden, but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. And I'll see you next time for Chapter 5. From the edge of the empire and the center of self, this is the Tao of Lloyd. Folks, before you go, please consider supporting this independent podcast by opening your podcast player and giving the Tao of Lloyd a juicy 5-star rating, and if you've got it in you, a few words in the form of a review. This helps tremendously in terms of the reach of the podcast. Thank you. And if you're a social media person, hit up the Tao of Lloyd on social media. That's TAO of Lloyd. See you next time.